From ancient times to the present, whenever people talk about handsome men, they often think of Xi Shi, Yang Guifei, Diao Chan, and Wang Zhaojun. Wait, no. Those are the four great beauties of China. But the heartthrobs of ancient times were no less impressive. If you think handsome men of the past only had good looks, you're mistaken. These men weren't just as stunning as sculpted statues, but they also possessed extraordinary talents. They were masters of both literature and martial arts, embodying both beauty and brilliance. Yet, unfortunately, their lives were far from perfect. Some perished in war, some suffered due to jealousy, and some remained eternally single despite their movie star-worthy looks. So how did they live? How did they shine? And how did fate mistreat these ancient heartthrobs? Let's dive into the series Ancient Handsome Men, The Curse of Beauty, to see that being stunning isn't always a blessing, my friends. Fanon, the first heartthrob in Chinese history. Born with a beauty that shook the world, on a fine day during the Western Qing dynasty, a baby boy entered the world with snow-white skin, delicate eyebrows, and eyes as clear as autumn water. His name was Pan Yu, later known as Fanon, the ultimate symbol of male beauty in China. From a young age, he captivated women wherever he went. Middle-aged ladies at the market would forget to haggle the moment they saw him, while young girls would swoon at just a glance. But Fanon wasn't just handsome, he was also highly intelligent and an exceptional poet. If there had been a ranking for the most attractive men of the Western Qing era, he would have undoubtedly taken the top spot. Had he been born in modern times, he would have easily had a fan club of 10 million followers. When he grew up, Fanon married a simple woman, not a renowned beauty, not the daughter of a high-ranking official, but a gentle and virtuous lady. Though thousands of women would have lined up for the chance to marry him, he remained devoted to his wife. Not only was he faithful, but he also wrote the poem On Xie Han, the Song of Sorrow, to express his love for her, a newly woven chi silk, as white as frost and snow. Cut and sewn into a round fan, full and bright like the moon. Held within your sleeve, swaying gently with the breeze. Yet when autumn comes, the cold wind extinguishes the heat. It is then tossed into a chest, and the bond is severed. In this poem, the fan symbolizes a marriage. In the heat of summer, the fan is cherished and frequently used, but when autumn arrives, it becomes useless and is left forgotten in a chest. This reflects Fanon's fears about love. Will time fade their feelings, just like the fan abandoned in storage? Through his words, he expressed his deep appreciation and unwavering desire to maintain his love for his wife. Handsome and loyal, what a rare find. Fanon's wife must have accumulated good karma over 10 lifetimes to marry a man like him. But Fanon was more than just a pretty face, he was also skilled in literature and politics. Thanks to his talent, he was invited to serve as an official. Unfortunately, he unknowingly became entangled with Diao Chan, a notorious and powerful minister at the time. When the political tide shifted, he was framed by enemies and sentenced to death. Even at the moment of execution, legend says he remained impeccably handsome. Some officials who witnessed his demise couldn't help but sigh, such beauty, wasted. Meanwhile, heartbroken women likely held a 3-day mourning session for him. Though Fanon's life was short, his name was immortalized in history. Even today, the phrase "as handsome as Fanon" is used to praise exceptionally good-looking men. Makes you wonder, if Fanon were reborn in modern times, would he be a singer, an actor, or the ultimate TikTok heartthrob? Song Yu, the heartthrob who made even a king jealous. One day, in the state of Chu, a baby was born. It is said that the midwife was so stunned by his beauty that she almost forgot to cut the umbilical cord. As he grew up, the boy developed delicate features, deep eyes like autumn waters, and an elegant demeanor. That boy was Song Yu, a renowned poet of his time. But life isn't always a dream. His exceptional looks brought him more trouble than fortune. Being handsome isn't a crime, but being too handsome can be a curse. Song Yu was intelligent, well-educated, and, to top it off, as breathtaking as a sculpted statue. One day, he was recommended to serve at the court of King Huai of Chu. But instead of being valued for his talents, he ended up in trouble, simply for being too good-looking. One day, someone whispered to the king, "Your Majesty, Song Yu is too handsome. Even my wife, after seeing him just once, can't stop thinking about him. This is unbearable." King Huai, really? Is he that good-looking? From that moment on, the king started to resent Song Yu. Turns out, being a stunning man in ancient times was dangerous. Too much beauty could make a king jealous. Sensing that his position at court was at risk, Song Yu decided to use his talent to defend himself. He composed a famous prose piece called Rhapsody on the Wind, Feng Fu, in which he cleverly acknowledged his own beauty while convincing the king of his worth. The main message of his work was, "Your Majesty, fear not. The world has many handsome men, some are beautiful but useless, while others are both beautiful and talented. I am the latter." After reading it, King Huai nodded and said, That makes sense. Alright, I'll let you off. Thanks to his intelligence, Song Yu managed to escape danger. But from then on, he became more cautious, avoiding unnecessary attention to his appearance. No wonder people today say being too handsome is a crime. Song Yu was not only a man of beauty, but also an outstanding poet, a disciple of the great poet Xu Yuan, author of the famous Li Sa. He specialized in writing romantic yet profound verses. After leaving the royal court, he traveled freely, enjoying the beauty of nature while composing poetry. People called him a handsome scholar, admired for both his looks and his literary genius. A perfect ancient heartthrob, exactly the type that modern women would adore. Despite the ups and downs of his life, Song Yu is remembered as a legendary poet and one of history's most famous beauties. His name is forever tied to the story of how his appearance caused trouble, while his extraordinary talent helped him rise above it. If he lived in modern times, Song Yu would undoubtedly be a social media sensation with millions of followers. Wei Jia, the heartthrob so lethal, people died just looking at him. On a beautiful day during the Western Jin dynasty, the Wei family welcomed a newborn boy. From birth, he had flawless white skin, smooth as jade, clear eyes, and delicate features like a painting. Legend has it that when his nurse took him out for a stroll, people were so mesmerized by his beauty that they forgot whatever they were doing. One person even burned down their entire kitchen after losing focus while cooking. That boy was Wei Jia, later known as the legendary Jade Prince. Some say that ugly babies are easier to raise, but Wei Jia was breathtakingly handsome from birth, and he still grew up just fine. Unlike some men who had only looks but no brains, Wei Jia was both extraordinarily handsome and highly intelligent. He excelled in academics, engaged in political discussions, and spoke with a gentle voice and elegant demeanor. Wherever he went, he shocked people with his beauty. Some even described him as the epitome of human perfection. If he were alive today, Wei Jia would definitely be the nation's biggest crush, driving millions of fangirls crazy. Wei Jia's beauty didn't just captivate women, it left men in awe as well. Once, when he visited Jiankong, modern-day Nanjing, the entire city rushed out just to see him. People climbed walls and trees, squeezed through crowds, and even fell into rivers just for a glimpse. Some stared at him for too long and, literally dropped dead. From that moment, he was given the chilling nickname, the Killer Beauty. No weapons, no conspiracies, Wei Jia only needed to stand still, and he could cause a massacre. Too handsome to live in peace. Wei Jia's ethereal beauty turned out to be a double-edged sword. He never had a moment of peace. Wherever he went, mobs of admirers followed him, forcing him to maintain a flawless image at all times. Imagine this, always having to look perfect, with no room for a messy appearance. Constantly being chased by fans, just like a modern-day K-pop idol. Endless social obligations, leaving him with no personal time. Never allowed to look tired or imperfect, always having to smile gracefully and speak elegantly. People think being handsome is a blessing, but for Wei Jia, it was an exhausting burden. The man who died from being too handsome. At the age of 27, Wei Jia traveled to Jiankong, and news of his arrival threw the entire city into a frenzy. People trampled over each other, desperate for a look at him. Wei Jia was forced to meet and greet crowds all day long, engaging in endless polite conversations without rest. He had no time to eat, no time to sleep, he was completely drained. Already fragile in health, he eventually fell gravely ill and passed away. Ordinary people get stressed from work. Wei Jia got stressed from being too handsome. For the first time in history, beauty didn't just kill others, it killed the owner himself. Although his life was tragically short, Wei Jia's name became legendary, symbolizing a level of beauty so extreme that it became a curse. If he were alive today, Wei Jia would be an A-list idol, but he would definitely need a bodyguard to protect him from obsessive fans. Prince Lan Ling, the war god too handsome to intimidate anyone. Prince Lan Ling, born Diao Chan, was the grandson of an emperor of northern Qi. But no one in his family called him by his real name, because whenever someone mentioned Prince Lan Ling, hearts fluttered, and eyes sparkled. Why? Because he was too outrageously handsome. With fair skin, bright eyes, and delicate features, he was so stunning that even other men felt self-conscious standing next to him. People would say, whenever Prince Lanling appears, even the sun seems to dim. Some might envy his beauty, but women, they were absolutely obsessed. A war god too pretty to be feared. Despite looking like a celestial being, Prince Lanling was far from a fragile scholar. He rode horses like the wind, wielded swords like a dragon, and was a fearless warrior on the battlefield. But there was one problem: the enemy, instead of fearing him, wanted to admire him. Instead of striking terror into their hearts, his beauty made them fall in love. To fix this problem, Prince Lanling had no choice but to wear a fearsome demon mask in battle. With the mask on, enemies trembled and fled. Without the mask, soldiers on both sides got distracted by his ethereal looks. Most warriors need armor to fight. Prince Lanling needed a mask to hide his beauty. The legendary battle that made him a hero. Prince Lanling's most famous battle was the defense of Luoyang. The northern Zhou army outnumbered his troops by several times and was on the verge of victory. Then, suddenly, Prince Lanling charged in with his sword, slashing through the enemy ranks like an unstoppable force. Seeing him fight, the morale of northern Qi troops skyrocketed, and they crushed the enemy completely. A lone warrior, on horseback, cutting through thousands, handsome and deadly. Who could possibly stand against him? After this epic battle, people composed a song in his honor, Prince Lanling's battle anthem. It became one of the most famous military songs in Chinese history, celebrating the most breathtaking war god ever known. A hero too perfect for his time. Prince Lanling wasn't just skilled in combat, he was beloved by his people and respected by his soldiers. But his talent and charisma made the emperor deeply jealous. He has beauty, skill, and the love of the people. How am I supposed to compete with that? Out of envy, the emperor plotted to kill him. He forced Prince Lanling to drink poisoned wine, ending the life of one of history's most legendary warriors. He had the looks, the skills, and the heart of a hero. He just lived in the wrong era. If Prince Lanling were alive today, he would undoubtedly be an action star and a top fashion model, not someone who met such an unfair fate. Tang Bohu, the handsome genius with a tragic love life. From a young age, Tang Bohu was known for his exceptional memory and intelligence. He had access to the best teachers, and by the age of 12, he was already writing poetry so impressive that scholars would slap their thighs in admiration. As he grew older, he became a master of literature and painting. The perfect child every parent dreams of. At 29, Tang Bohu took the imperial examination and ranked first, securing a bright future as a high-ranking official. But just when he was celebrating, a scandal broke out. Jealous officials accused him of cheating. The emperor believed the accusations and stripped him of his title, banning him from all future exams. His government career was over before it even began. So being too smart is a crime now? What kind of bad luck is this? Frustrated and disillusioned, Tang Bohu abandoned his political ambitions. Instead of becoming an official, he chose a new path, writing poetry, drinking wine, painting masterpieces, traveling with friends, enjoying life to the fullest. He became the most famous free-spirited artist of the Ming dynasty. Tang Bohu was basically the original quit your job and go chill influencer. A handsome genius, but unlucky in love. Despite being charming and talented, Tang Bohu's love life was a disaster. His first wife left him because her family looked down on him for not being a government official. He remarried, but that marriage also ended in divorce. A good-looking, talented man still couldn't catch a break in love? Tough luck, but oh well. The famous temple love story. Tired of heartbreak, Tang Bohu decided to get creative. He went to a temple to find love. Rumors spread about a beautiful maid named Qiao Xiang at Huayan Temple. Determined to meet her, Tang Bohu disguised himself as a poor man looking for work. "Master, I'm broke. Please let me stay and sweep the floors." The temple abbot looked at him suspiciously. "You don't look like someone who sweeps floors for a living." Tang Bohu turned on the tragic act. "I swear, I'm really poor. I don't mind eating temple food, I just need a place to stay." And just like that, he got himself a job at the temple, waiting for the right moment to win Qiao Xiang's heart. Every day, after sweeping the floors, he would recite poetry and paint, gradually charming Qiao Xiang. Once he knew she had fallen for him, Tang Bohu finally revealed his true identity. Boys, take notes, this is next-level flirting. But just when he thought he had won, Qiao Xiang rejected him. Her reason? She wanted to stay at the temple and had no intention of leaving with him. Bro really went through all that effort just to get friend-zoned. A legendary talent, but an unfortunate ending. Despite his fame in art, poetry, and creative flirting, Tang Bohu spent his later years in poverty. He passed away at 53, leaving behind masterpieces and a legacy of wit and charm that still fascinates people today. If Tang Bohu lived in the modern world, he'd be an Instagram heartthrob, a TikTok sensation, and an online dating guru. So, if there were a beauty pageant for ancient Chinese heartthrobs, who would you vote for?